All right, so let's jump back into the code and take a look at the syntax. Because no matter what programming thing you're trying to learn, there's always going to be the concepts, and then there's going to be the syntax. And they're both important. They're both necessary to learn, but sometimes the concepts are scary, and sometimes the syntax is scary, and sometimes both are scary. So let's talk about this. We have a name array, which contains 6 strings. We know it contains 6 strings because we told it it contains 6 strings. Then we enter a loop. This while loop loops from 1 to 6. And it will say enter name blah. So it'll say enter name 1, the first iteration, enter name 2, enter name 3, and so on and so on. That should be fairly straightforward. But what gets crazy is this. Again, what I'm doing right here is I'm indexing the array. And look what I'm passing into those brackets. I'm passing in name index -1. And name index -1 hopefully makes sense now that we understand that arrays have zero-based indices, meaning they start at index 0, or the terminology gets very complicated at this point. Technically, the first index of an array is 0. So they start at 0. And we, unfortunately, our name index, because I wanted to display to the user enter name 1, I didn't want to display to the user enter name 0. Our name index starts at 1. So we have to subtract 1 from our name index to get the right slot inside of our name array to be set to whatever console.readline returns. Then we increment our index. This is a very, very common pattern. In fact, most any time that you'll be playing with an array, you will have something that looks like this. You'll have an index variable. You'll loop until that index variable is a certain value, and at the end of your loop, you'll increment it or decrement it. We'll get into a bit of syntax that makes this a whole lot easier, but for now, I don't want to talk about anything other than arrays at this point, because that's a interesting or a complex subject into itself. So next up, after we've done the array, or the loop, that means our name array now contains all of these values.